So from time to time, I go through the comments on the channel, and I try and get a sense of, kind of what people are feeling, what's going on in people's perspective, and why they might react to things the way they do. It makes me look at my own reactions or my own feelings about particular pieces of content. And when we put this, what I find in context of what's happening in our world right now, we have basically a world that is, in a sense, it feels like it's rebirthing into a new set of ideas, where we're seeing the collapse, the breakdown of old ways of being, of old ways of relating, of old ways of setting up a society, and what motivates us within that society. We're seeing all this stuff change. And as a result of that, we're also seeing sort of a space being created where people are becoming aware of stuff that's playing out, and moving through truths, and moving through sort of breaking down what we thought of the world and how it functions. And within that, there's a lot of potentially uncomfortable things to sit with, because in a sense, we're going through the underlying pain, the underlying shadows, the underlying aspects of our human condition that play into why things play out. And when we learn about these things, like I look at some of our last pieces of content here, and I see so much anger in the comments, and I ask myself the question, I don't feel anger when I'm making these things. I don't feel anger when I'm learning these things. I feel empowered. I feel that when I'm looking at these pieces of content and I'm creating them, and I'm creating them from a space within myself that feels centered, that feels in love, that feels calm and at peace. And then to see that others are having a very different experience, it's curious to me to look through the comments and understand, like, yeah, I get why people feel angry. I've felt angry, of course, in my life about things for sure. So I know exactly what it feels like to feel anger, but what do we do with the anger? Like, what happens next? So often we hear, oh, I don't want to look at, politics or news or various things going on in the world because it's negative and it's bad and it makes me feel angry, and therefore I shouldn't look at it. I'm not supposed to look at it. I just need to hold a positive vibration. I just need to hold a positive space. You hear this a lot. And to me, I often wonder, like, is that not the same as I don't want to look at the parts within myself that I'm uncomfortable with, and do something to process them, to potentially understand them, to show up with curiosity and ask, why do I feel that way? What is going on within myself? It's the same as when we look at what's happening in the world and we go, okay, well, why is that happening? Why are certain leaders posturing the way they are? Why is the entire world of media operating the way it does? And when we begin to understand that, when we begin to bring awareness to it, are we not empowered in a sense to then take a different action, or then create a different approach, or then to learn something about ourselves, because we have a deeper understanding of what's actually playing out in any particular situation? It's sort of like, if we're feeling anger and all we do is stay within the anger. So, we see that Justin Trudeau does something, and we have all this hate and this anger towards Justin and the way he is and what's going on there. What value does it hold to just, I want him to just go through some sort of punishment and I'm just going to be angry at him? Like, what next? What would, like, if we play down the path that, he gets dragged out and put into some jail, and then, okay, does the world just head back to some beautiful, thriving place? Or are we just still going to have all of that anger, all of that type of disempowerment, all that potential challenge within ourselves that is just going to show up in another way? What potentially is being reflected by the state of our politics, the state of our media, the state of our world? What is being reflected back on us as to what we might hold within ourselves about various things we're seeing and feeling? And I don't want this sort of sentiment to enter into the realm of impracticality, because when we start examining things this way, it can start to feel like, well, if I just do the inner work, then everything will just disappear. And I don't think it's quite that simple. I do think there is a lot of practical action, practical embodiment, and practical choices that have to come. What I'm alluding to here is there's a desire that we want to create a world that's better, that's thriving, that's ultimately in a better place. But oftentimes we don't want to process the feelings we have about the world we have today. And we don't want to get into embodying that space when we're looking at what's happening in our world. Instead, we want to stay within our judgments, within our anger, within our hate or our disdain for certain people and certain actions. We always want to see the good guy and the bad guy, and what's positive and what's negative. And we don't want to embody something that would create potentially a different world. I see this happen so much. And it's interesting because when I think about peace and when I think about our work and what we've been doing and embodying for 13 years, it's perceived differently by different people. Some people see it as, oh, you guys are talking about negative stuff in politics. And some people are being like, oh, you guys are talking about, cool, positive, transformative things because of the way you're looking at it. And it's like, how do we have all these different perspectives about what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it? And I think about sort of what we're trying to create, which is showing up in peace, showing up in neutrality, which to me in practicality, what that means is showing up in a way that is capable, that is showing up in a way that says, I can stand here, look at this situation, whatever it is, whether it's news and politics, whether it's something happening in the world, whether it's something happening in our relationships, something happening in our community, something happening with a neighbor, whatever it is, I'm showing up capable, ready and willing to hold a position of not saying, you're the good guy, you're the bad guy, you're doing something right, you're doing something wrong, you're doing something positive, you're doing something negative, but really sitting here looking, what is happening? What is going on? How can we expand our awareness to say, there are many layers to what's playing out in any situation, anything from political issues, geopolitical issues, to human condition issues, emotional ways of looking at things, cultural issues, deeper aspects of our worldviews that form the way we perceive things. And then within all of that is our lenses of trauma and how our experience has colored our lens of how we're looking at any situation. And at any given point, all of these things are playing out in the way we sit with any issue that's going on. And this is why our approach is tailored the way it is we're not trying to understand who's right and who's wrong in any situation as much as we're looking at what are the various aspects of our condition of what we need to bring awareness to that can allow us to get closer to understanding what some of the challenges we face actually are, such that we can address them and create that different world. And again, going back to it, it's like, what does it mean to embody peace and to show up in neutrality is to have that capability to say, I'm not going to judge the situation as who's right and who's wrong, the good, bad, the bad guy, because it's so much more complex than that. And if we stay at that top layer, we're always going to be warring and feuding with each other at that top layer. There is a deeper way of understanding why people hurt, why people are in pain, why people make choices, why people do things. Why do people become corrupt, right? This is an important thing to look at, right? Like, why does that happen? What is going on there? And how can we put an end to that? We can say corruption is bad. And okay, but what does that do? We can say a person is evil, but what does that do? What's next? What can we play with? And what I've noticed is that when we don't ask these questions as people, as a culture, as community, things become very cynical. They can become very hopeless. And again, I see this a lot sometimes in the comments of the work that we do. Like, I'm looking at some stuff here on the computer. It's like, there's 1,500 comments over the last couple of videos, and the vast majority of them are angry and upset. And I think it's okay to be angry and upset about the state of the world, but what do we do with that next? Like, what happens next? Like, I'm not angry and upset with it, and which means we don't all have to feel that way. It's kind of a part of a processing of what's happening. I've never felt angry or negative or drained or down about understanding what's happening in the world. Yet I hear from people that it's like, I feel so drained because I'm so angry all the time. Or I hear from other people, I don't want to look at anything that's going on because it's all negative, and I just want to hold my positive vibration. And even within that, I see a bypassing. There's a deep spiritual bypass of not wanting to look at the things in our world that are not so favorable, and almost holding the space of, if I just ignore it or if I just stay in my bubble, like it's going to go away, and that'll just make it go away. But I do think there are so many things within what's happening that we need to individually and collectively process. And at the end of the day, it's like I kind of wanted to make this piece of content just to kind of consider and look at and think about, and perhaps bring to our awareness that if we can't show up and embody a new way of looking at the world, and a new way of feeling, and a new way of being, and a new way of understanding the complexity of the human condition and what's playing out, I'm not sure a whole lot will change in the ways that we really know, like deep down, we know we could live in a thriving world. Or maybe some of us have no hope. Maybe some of us feel disparity, right? I see that a lot too, where it's like, maybe none of this is possible. But I feel like that position of feeling like there is no hope, of there is nothing possible, comes when we're not sitting with and processing the parts of ourselves that become activated by learning about some of the stuff that's going on out there. Because even if we avoid it and we say, I'm not going to look at what's happening in the world, you're still sitting with the same tensions, the same triggers. It's just we're trying to avoid them. We're trying not to see them. And in that case, what are we adding to the collective consciousness? What are we adding to the underlying energies that produce, the world that we live in today? The morphic field, morphic resonance, however you want to sort of define what that looks like and what those words mean to you. But there is a really important step in looking and processing and integrating that I feel is in so many ways sort of avoided, because it can be uncomfortable to look at. It can become scary to look at. And at the same time, we have this, I almost want to say, like, false belief that if we just don't look at it, it'll go away. So for me, it's like we do a lot of this work, and I'm wondering if we can almost start a bit of a conversation here about, like, what is our path forward? How do we embody a way of creating a better world? Is it that we need to look at, because this is what I feel, that we need to look at a lot of what's playing out and not just, stop at the anger, not just stop at, we need to get rid of the corruption, but how do we actually feel? What am I actually embodying? What emotion is coming up within me? And can we be curious about why we're experiencing a particular emotion about something? What story is driving us? How are we conveying what we're learning about to other people? Is there a lot of anger and a lot of judgment and a lot of, these are the bad guys and these are the good guys? And do we really feel that by holding that dichotomy that we're going to create a better future? Or can we sit back and think, hold on a second, hasn't this sort of dual battle been going on since as far back as we can potentially remember? And are we being asked to potentially do something different, to take a new approach, to embody a new experience, one that acknowledges the pains, the sufferings, the ways we see things, the way we color things, bring awareness to the various complex layers of how we are as humans, but also how we are as, relationships, and how we are as communities, and how we are as a globe? Can we sit with that kind of stuff and explore it? And potentially, again, have a new way of looking at things that potentially produces different solutions, different choices, different actions. Otherwise, I feel like we're kind of just going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again, complaining about the same stuff all the time. And I want to be clear, I don't believe, and we get this feedback sometimes from people where it's like, oh, it just seems like you're focused on complaining about the problems. And it's like, that's literally not the energy. It's not the place we're coming from when we're doing this work. We're trying to just put on the table, can we think about this? Can we be curious about this? But there seems to be this deep aversion to wanting to understand the complexity of why humans are the way they are. And how can we then, if we understand it, produce change? So anywho, just wanted to kind of leave that on the table here and hear from you guys what you think. Thanks so much for watching.